Dynasty fantasy football seems pretty simple when you start. Draft young players, hold them forever, win championships, rinse and repeat. But under the surface, and after years of playing, winning and losing, there's a lot more I wish I knew that somebody told me when I started. So this list is today almost a message to myself and to you if you're watching. 10 things I wish I knew with 2 bonus tips as well. For our very first tip, Dynasty fantasy football is a marketplace. It is not a fantasy football league. That is the biggest difference between the two. Example A, if you're playing fantasy football in the fall, your player might get hurt. That's the biggest thing that's going to change throughout the entire season. But in situation B for Dynasty, it could be the offseason. It could be March, a random Tuesday afternoon. You pick up your phone, Adam Schefter tweeted, and your team's value has just been cut in half. Someone was traded, someone was cut, the player was cut himself, whatever it may be, whatever can happen will happen. So it's very important that we try to see into the future and understand how this market will ebb and flow. And there's 2 ways to do that, in my opinion. One, of course, age. We all know this. For running backs, it's between 28 to 29, typically is their age cliff. For wide receivers, I'd say about 30, 31, and then quarterbacks, depending on if they run or if they pass majority of the time, I'd say 33 to 34 years old. But the second way, which is underrated and understated, so you can take advantage of this in your league, is going to be contracts. And not just the years on the contract. That's the most surface level thing you can see. But what you should be doing, especially if you have a player on your team, look at how the contract's built. You don't need to have a CPA, understand all the numbers, but what you can see if you go to any of these websites like SpotTrack, Over the Cap, when is this player's most cuttable year? If they're a player like, or a position of a running back, which we know they get cut plenty of times, especially if they can be, it may not be the duration of the contract that matters, but what the cut year is that matters. So go check out your contracts on your players you're trading for, especially at positions that are undervalued, running backs. Find out when they can be cut because they probably will be cut. Get ahead of that timeline, understand what you're truly trading for or trading away, and that way you can get a better understanding of said marketplace and factor in how it's going to change over the next offseason. For rule number 2, I guess number 9 if we're counting down, this is huge, at least for me. League behavior is everything. And what I mean by that is a couple different things. Number 1, you need to know every person in your Dynasty League. These are going to be the people you make trades with and talk to, and hopefully you're friends with for the coming years of this league, which if it's a good league, it's going to be 10 plus years for sure. And what you need to understand, aside from being a good person, of course, and forming good relationships, what's their biggest motive? What team are they a fan of? What position do they like the most? Do they like tight ends? Do they like running backs? Are they just big quarterback guys and hoard them like no other? You need to understand what they care about and what they like as dynasty managers. And if you could do that, you can send appealing trades. You cannot waste anybody's time. And more importantly, if you're sending fun trades that they like every single time you send one, you're only going to form a great relationship and lead to much better trades down the line. And then number 2 of this, I would say in the league behavior department, some leagues operate as true fantasy football leagues. They don't really care about age and they don't really care about rookie picks. And then some leagues swing the full other way on the pendulum and they are all about the rookie picks, fired up about the rookies, and draft season is just off the charts. Typically, it falls somewhere in the middle, but know where your league is at. And I would recommend if your league leans pretty hard one way or the other, just zig when they zag. If they care about rookie picks, take the veterans and take the points and win the championships. If they care too much about veterans, go for younger players with a ton of upside that cost nearly half the price as those proven players. Play to your league's advantage, know what they care about, and more importantly, know their motive. For tip number 8 for dynasty managers, age matters for dynasty players, but not like you think. Everybody, when you pull up a player on your phone, you can see what their name is and what their age is. This, I'm telling you right now, gets overvalued so much, and I have fallen victim to this. And just to level set with all the audience members, let's agree on something. A 21 or 22-year-old player who hasn't emerged yet is not worth nearly the same as a 28-year-old in their prime, a running back, a wide receiver in their prime, delivering you championship level performances. Because most people value them about the exact same, just because of the youth, because of the breakout potential. That is so enticing and so appealing. The value ends up being the same. But when in reality, One of these players scores points, one of them might score points. There's those cliffs around 28 for running backs and 30 for wide receivers. I would advise you look more into the contracts and the age rather than just the number itself. Take advantage of this ageism in your league. If somebody doesn't like a player because they just turned 27, go pick them up, man. You know they can ball. You know they're going to score points for you. Take advantage of the market. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Age, overemphasized. Do not fall into the trap. For tip number 7, I have this. Rookie picks are gold. And this is in 2 different ways. The only asset that is guaranteed to increase over time is rookie picks. First and second rounders, to be particular. Third and fourth are pretty hit and miss. But first and second rounders only go up in value if you get them 2 years ahead of time or 3 years down the line. This is just a fact. This is what happens. It's a marketplace. This is how it rolls. At the same time, the gold itself cannot win you a championship. The gold doesn't score points. There's this beautiful balance between collect the gold, store said gold, and let that accumulate in value over time. But you have to cash in on a couple players that will actually bring production to your team. Because as we know, if you spend 6 first-round rookie picks all on rookies, the math doesn't work out like that, man. I'd say about half those rookie picks are going to hit, if not less. Make sure you collect rookie picks when you can because they're gold, but cash in as well when the time is right. Tip number 6. Situation matters almost as much as talent. When it comes to player evaluation, as humans, as people who love the sport, we're going to throw on the highlight tape, get tunnel vision, and be like, damn, this guy's good. He can play. No matter where he goes, I'm 100% in. But truth be told, football's an 11-player sport. It's not basketball, which is a 5-player sport, but truly, we know somebody can just ISO on the court and do their own thing. You need every person, all 11, executing at the same time to score a touchdown, to move the ball down the field. That is extremely hard, and if you get a player that goes to a bad situation, and more importantly, on a bad football team, it's hard to overcome that unless you're just ridiculously talented. So this seems very surface level, and this is something I ignored when I started. I thought, oh, talent will shine through regardless, but at the end of the day, there is 11 people on that field. If 7 of them aren't that good and the coach is calling bad plays, this is not going to work out for our player unless he's truly a one-of-a-kind talent. For tip number 5, this is a startup tip. Your first 3 picks in said startup draft decide your entire team strategy. You may go into this, which is good, having a plan and feeling good about it. But reality is, when certain players fall to you, you have to adapt and overcome on the fly and make that your team's identity pretty much instantly. For example, I made a horrible flaw in my startup draft. My first 3 picks were all veterans that scored points, but my team strategy that I planned before this even started, I'm going to get young players and be good in 5 years and for the entire duration of the league. That's not how the draft shook out. And it shook out for the better because I got really productive players, but I went 3 picks with great veteran players, and then the rest were just young upside players, and a lot of them never really hit. So I had, I think, 3 superstars in the team, and the rest of the depth was just rough. This is just to overemphasize. Don't be too in your head on what you think you should do. Whatever falls to you is going to be your strategy. Adapt on the fly. Don't pretend you're something you're not, and lean into whatever your team identity is. For tip number 4, and this one is the biggest thing I had to learn, and still am learning today. I just messed up on this a couple months ago. When in doubt, trade back. Just do it, man. When in doubt, if someone's calling up and giving a real good offer for a pick you have in a startup, in a rookie draft, trade back, maximize the value because they're going to overpay for it and truly cash in on those rewards. I have been on the trade up end a couple times in a rookie draft, in a startup draft, and it has almost never worked out for me. For example, this is a rough one, all right? I messed up 2 of these. We're learning together. I messed up 2 of these tips on my own. Situation matters more than talent. I thought Matthew Golden was the truth. And you go, oh God, what did he do? I traded up, I think it was 201, 205, and a 3rd round pick to get up 3 picks and go to 109 to get Matthew Golden. That 201 and 204 ended up being Cam Scadaboo, Amika Egbuka, and I think Terrence Ferguson in the 3rd round. All great dynasty assets right now, and I am kicking myself. Like, if you're in my league, I am kicking myself. I still believe in Golden, but man, 0 touchdowns in your first year compared to, I don't know, 10 plus with the other guys. I wouldn't trade up. And one more example for you, Caleb Williams, 2 years ago, known to be the truth, and he's probably going to have a great career. But in that first year, he had a lot of learning to do, and you had to trade heavy capital to get into that situation. So at the end of the day, when in doubt, trade back. For tip number 3, I have learn how to make a trade even if sometimes you lose. Now, when people hear about trades, they think, oh, I'm going to be the negotiation master. I'm going to lowball this guy, get a hell of a value, and just come out the big time winner of said trade. We all live in that fairy tale land, but the truth is you cannot operate that way. And the best way to send trades is to send ones that are actually appealing. And sometimes when they're actually fair trades, surprise, you lose. Don't just send trades that lean your way in value 70-30 or 60-40. Send something that the person receiving will actually go, oh, I'm interested. This trade is worth a conversation. A carrot on the end of the stick is what you want to send to your other dynasty managers. And for the future, when you do send trades to that person, your brand in the league is that you send good, fair, exciting trades. You don't want to be the person in the league where they pick up their phone and they go, Cade sent a trade. I know it's going to be bad. That's a horrible place to be, not only for the league, but for yourself, of course. Learn how to make a trade, send fair trades, send enticing trades you know they'd be interested in, and fit their team's agenda. For tip number 2, and this is probably the hardest one, do not fall in love with your players. For my personal example, I'll bring up somebody I mentioned just 2 minutes ago, Matthew Golden. I cashed in to get a player like Matthew Golden, and in his first year, it was pretty rough. Now, do I believe in him? Yes, that may age like milk. But the point is, if there's a realistic offer I get, and it's for some kind of value that's probably worth more than what Matthew Golden deserves, you got to move off said player. Which actually brings me back to tip number 10. Dynasty is a marketplace. Treat it like one. If you get good value for a player that you don't need in this upcoming year, ship them off, get some good value, move forward. It doesn't hurt to cut losses. What does hurt is sinking with the ship to the end. For tip number 1, we got 2 more bonus tips as well. Number 1, a team with no direction is just a team paying league dues. You need to know what the league situation is, who's actually competing and who's not, and where you fit in all this mess. If you think you're competing going into 2026, but in 2025 you scored the 9th or the 8th most points in the entire league, I'm here to tell you and break the hard news. You're not competing, my friend. It's not happening. Know your timeline, know what your team is and what it isn't. Now we're talking about some bonus tips, which are my personal 2 favorites. Tip number 1 is going to be Dynasty rewards patience much more than redraft. And this should be self-explanatory, but you'd be so surprised how tunnel visioned your entire league will be year to year, game to game on your current situation. I have seen time and time again teams that were not that good simply retool and rebuild in about 1 year because they struck on some high upside players, got some good rookie picks, or cashed in on some of those rookie picks for true starters, and they were right back in the saddle and in the playoffs in about 12 months. It may feel like a long ways away, but truly, as we know, all you have to do is just get in the playoff dance. And once you're in, anything can happen. You're probably not as far as you think you are. Have a little bit of patience. Let some of these seeds grow on your team, and your team could be right back in the race before you know it. For bonus tip number 2 and our final tip on the day, and this is pretty much the entire base of what Dynasty is all about. Value can buy you a championship, but production wins you one. These are the 2 forces. There's money and there's time, there's value and there's production. Production is the actual points being scored on your team. Value is what a player, a pick is worth. So, for example, my team, I have a ton of rookie picks. These rookie picks aren't going to win me a championship. Something has to change. I need to flip this value into production, at least half of it, to have a shot at the championship. And if you have all production and you aren't winning, maybe it's time you cash some of that production for just a little bit of value long term before the production falls off a cliff. Value plays go up over time, production simply goes down over time. Take a step back, look at your team, how much value does my team have, and then also how much production. There should be a healthy balance, but if you're competing, it should definitely be leaning much more in the production category. And if you're trying to retool or rebuild, you're going to want a ton of value gravity on your team. Those are the top 12 things I wish I could tell myself when I started Dynasty. If you guys have any more tips, drop it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear some more advice. Feel free to share the wisdom. We can all learn something every single day. Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoy this kind of content, go subscribe down below as well. See you next time. Peace.